In the last movie, we set up the HTML document for our live search application. In this movie, we'll go ahead and start creating our JavaScript file. We're going to use JavaScript and jQuery. So let's take a look at the HTML from the previous movie. And it's just pretty simple, a single form element with an ID of search, plus an additional div that has an ID of update. Both of those are going to be pretty important in our script. So let's dig in. So I'll switch over to my script file, and I'll start off by doing some things we've done in previous movies. First, I'll just read the JSON data and output it into our update div. So I'll start off by using getJSON. I'll get the data file, and the data will be fed into a function literal. So this will read the JSON file, and then as a callback, we'll run an anonymous function and pass along the data that we have. One trick that I've learned from debugging JavaScript for years is to try to test things out as soon as I write them. So let's just go ahead and send this data to the console. So I'm going to save this, and I'll switch over to my browser. I'll refresh, and then I'll do a right click. I'm in Google Chrome right now, and select Inspect Element, then go over to the console. Make sure that we have this object right here showing, which we do. That means that my jQuery is working properly. It's getting the element from the file, and it's retrieving it and putting it into this console. So that's great. So now let's go ahead and output that data into our div. Let me take out the console log here, and I'll create a variable called output. And I'll start by feeding it just an unordered list tag. I'll add a class so that I can target it with CSS. Now I'll close that out. So now we can use the each statement to output the list items. This is a function literal, and we'll get the key and value variables set up. Now we need to start outputting just the names like before, but this time I'm going to put the beginning and closing li tags on their own line. That just makes it easier to add other elements. So I'm going to add an h2 tag here and output the name from the value variable that gets created from this each statement right here. So now all I need to do is output the HTML into my update div. So let me save that, and I'll switch back over to my browser and hit the refresh button. You can see one of the names come up here. Let me make that a little bigger. And all the names are now coming up from the JSON document. So now we can add the rest of the elements we want from the JSON file. Let's go ahead and add the image tag. In the image tag, I'm going to use the field called short name. It just has a simplified version of the person's names. So if they have like 3 names, or this Jonathan G. Farrar II, I just call them Jonathan Farrar and then put an underscore in between them. And those relate to the file names of the images that I have for each speaker. So in my script file, I can just use that, making sure that I target the images folder, then the slash, that short name, and then underscore TN for thumbnail, that JPEG. For the alt, I'll just make it the name of the speaker. And for the biography, I'm going to copy this one and just stick it in a paragraph tag and just call the val.bio. So let's take a look at this in the browser. We'll refresh, and we should see the name of the author, the photo, and the bio come up. Perfect. So far our page is simply displaying the information from our JSON document. It's not very different from what we've done in past videos. In the next movie, I'll show you how we can capture events from the search field and create a search engine for our JSON file.